So, oh, it's a bit unstable, isn't it? I wasn't planning on making this a whole video, I just wanted to get it done. I finally got the exhaust valve stem from Honda, and I'm going to give it a crack at trying to get it back into this. Beep. I didn't start recording at the beginning of the video because I was a little unsure about how to get this valve tool to work, because it wasn't as easy as it necessarily should have been. I was just able to pop the little collars in place. I'm not even going to apologise about the bad framing because there's not a lot I can do with this little tripod, but we're going to crack on. I'll be lost without this little magnet. There is our retaining collar. And these two bits are what holds it all in place. If I lose these, all bets are off. So what I'm doing is I'm using this magnet just to try and hold them all into place a little. So with that magnet attached, I can hold those retaining clips in place, and they can just live in my little parts box down here. So, as always, I don't know what the GoPro can see, but we're going to go ahead and take this spring off. Now, unlike some, I've watched a lot of videos where there's two internal springs here. Incidentally, there's only one. Before I go ahead and push the valve out, I want to measure this distance. I don't think it will really matter, but in the event that this seal does move, I kind of want an idea of how far down that goes. Hold the valve in. $15 mil. Now, ultimately, I don't think that value is going to matter much. All right, so what we can see here is not seated properly. So we're just going to try and very carefully push it out. Now, I'm not seeing any actual damage to the valve itself, but so far as I can see, where it's bent is right at the top here. So I want to make sure that that valve seat doesn't move. That valve seal, I mean. So I want to try and show you, if I can. Where's a good angle? Try and get the sunlight in there. All right, reverse camera. There does not seem to be any significant damage, which this is the part that I was worried about. I was worried that I was going to absolutely destroy that seal. And I'm going to try and get away with not touching the intake side because there's no damage there. It's sealed. This was the bent one. Now, something that I didn't show previously was that I have damaged the camshaft a little bit. If I can't get this running now, I'm going to go ahead and replace this whole shebang-a-bang. Which means the only thing that doesn't come with the replacement head, it comes with these valve seals already in place. All the rocker gear and the camshaft I would need to transfer over, but I would probably buy a new one just to cover my odds with that damaged thread. Look at that. That's the way it should be, returning to center. This is the replacement valve. Now, pretty easy to tell them apart. I can tell visually looking, I can see where the bend is, and it is right here. So the goal today is to do some valve lapping. So I've got some valve grinding paste there. I think I want some oil for that before I put it in. This is actually just an old bottle of 2-stroke oil, but it's been perfect for just giving these a wipe. Because I don't want it to go in dry. Okay, now we're just very carefully going to and that looks really good. Now you can't see because I'm off camera. I don't care. I don't see any light through there, which gives me hope. Okay, what I need to do is wipe all the oil off here. Boop. Get this as clean as I can first. I've never lapped a valve before, so this is the first time for me. I understand the theory, and I understand that you don't need a ton of pressure. Ow! Mother... Super cheap Auto Tool Pro. That is f***ing dangerous. Oh, I'm even bleeding on my band-aid. Well, duh, but I mean... Alright. Keep the pressure on it, Vicky. Should be right. The worst thing is I've got oil over all this finger, so it's not gonna stick. I saw that going differently in my head. That was unnecessarily packed in there. Goodbye, old valve. We'll put that to the side. Now, what we need... That might be too perfect. Oh, there we go, that'll fit. Right. Ugh, gross. So, tell me off later. For not doing this properly. But we are just going to put a very slight bead of this paste. That's why I've got a towel here. So, my understanding of this process is only go clockwise. Take my time with it. Hope I get a good seal on here. I can't get a seal on here, so I can't do it.
5 minutes later.
This may not be the correct way to do it, but the only way I could get that suction cap to seal was to use a little bit of blue tack. But now I can rotate the valve. Okay, basically, I don't know how well you'll be able to hear this noise. But we're just going to keep on rotating it until that gritty noise is no longer there and it sounds nice and smooth. Then I should be done. And then I just have to clear out all the remaining residue and try and put this valve spring back on. And we should be a step closer to getting this bike running. Wish me luck. Okay, so I have ground that until it stops making that icky noise. And look at the color of this. It's even, you can tell, using a nice clean, just a bit of paper towel here. I don't want any of this grit left over anywhere. So I'm going to be quite thorough in my cleaning of it. So what we've got here is a nice, clean, carbon-free surface, so that the new valve has a nice uniform mating surface. So there should be no reason why this valve won't seal in there. So this is the part that you watch closely with me to make sure that if I'm going to stuff it up, I can come back So I'm putting oil on the stem, but I'm avoiding getting it on the head of the valve because that's just going to make smoke. All right, so when I put the valve in each time, I put my finger over the valve guide seal just to make sure that it doesn't pop. Okay, let's just carefully rotate that in, wiping all the oil. Compared to what it was before, let's press record on the GoPro here. All right, we're going to aim you up at the light and try and get that lens right up in there. All right, now I'm going to open the valve. Okay, we got a good angle there. We can see some light. Close the valve. That is giving me hope. The job is almost done. This is the tricky part. This tool is too big for this entire assembly. So I had to do a trick with putting the spark plug socket. Oh, that's not a spark plug socket. That's just a 12mm socket in there. Because this is almost exactly, where's my old valve actually? Old valve. Basically, this 12mm socket is just the right size for the head of the valve. But because I'm so worried about damaging it, I've got a piece of inner tube rubber just over the back of the socket like that. Because all it needs to do is hold that valve in place while we pop this stuff on. I'm so nervous about this job, you've got no idea. More than anything else, right now, I'm paranoid that I'm going to lose my head. So right now, I need to get everything that isn't vital out of the way. I'm going to flip this towel over so the clean side is up, so I don't get any more of this valve paste anywhere it doesn't need to go. So close. Basically, all I'm trying to do here, I'll show you on this one. I've got my pieces in here. I'm basically just trying to pop them down by hand. course, that is dependent on the valve not coming out either. I think that's seated, almost. When I poke it from the back, the valve is coming down. Okay, we need a flashlight down here. That is our oxygen sensor. All right. I'm a little nervous about the gap that I see here, but all I can really do is keep on trying to seal it like that. What we're going to do now is reassemble the rocker. So the rocker arm, the arms are different front to back, okay? The intake rocker has this bolt that goes in that holds this arm in place. The only thing that holds the exhaust one in place is the actual engine bolt. So that goes this way so we can adjust it. Now, what we want to do, I'm going to do this, I'm going to install it without obviously putting the rocker arm in so I can show you. This needs to be flush. So we can rotate it. And then just pop it in like so. Now you're not going to be able to see down there, but take my word for it, that's what you need to do to hold it in. I'm mainly just talking to talk myself through the process. Okay, so what we can do is line that up so it's flush. Pop our rocker arm in and then just feel it. Feel for it. What we might do actually, a bit more of assembly oil. We're just going to drop some in there and just try and lubricate our holes a little bit, because I think half the problem is this stuff's been out of the bike so long now, any form of lubrication that was on it is well and truly gone. Right, what I might do, I'm going to loosen this right off because I have to recheck it anyway. And this is just going to give me a little bit more wiggle. Perfect, it went straight in. So I'll go in from this side again. Now we feed it through until it clears. And then we rotate it down. All right, that needs to clear this hole entirely. And as for this hole, do you see that? Now you can use a flathead screwdriver to rotate to make it fit. See that? I'm doing this through the camera lens just for you, so you better appreciate how difficult that is. You can tell this will be flush with that side. Let's keep it flush. So get a light down there, line it all up. Make sure it's flush there. And if you're having trouble remounting the head, you might just have to finagle that. Now what is left to do, but check the valve clearances. 0.2 millimeter. That's 0.008 of an inch. So don't get your millimeters and inches confused when you're coming at me for the specs that I'm using. 0.08 millimeters intake, 0.2 millimeters exhaust, and I will flash that up again on screen. That value is the one that I got from the service manual for this engine, and it's the one that I'm using. So that's pretty close to the mark. A bit more. A bit tight. Now, I've done this a few times now. What I've picked up on is that it's a bit easier to leave it a little bit loose, so that when you do come down here and tighten this, if it does, see, that's still a bit too loose now. If it does shift, it's going to shift tighter. That's probably about perfect, I think. It's sort of like doing it by feel. I really feel like that's just a little bit too loose still. You might scream at me for leaving the feeler gauge in there while I tighten it. See that? That doesn't come out now. That is too tight. But it's a lot easier than trying to second guess. And it is such a fine adjustment. Perfect. Where, in fact, is my oil? Get a bit of oil on here. Happy with that. So when I was talking to Reggie from Umanashi about doing this job, he gave me some advice to make sure that that valve is sealed. We're going to pour a little bit of water. Oh, hello. Oh, shit. We're going to pour a little bit of water down that exhaust port. Put some paper towel underneath. Basically, if the paper towel doesn't get wet, we're sealed. So we're going to lay a dry piece of paper down. Worst case scenario is it's going to cause a bit of steam, right? Okay. Now I'm just going to take this over to the sink. I really need a better tripod. Basically, the theory is we're going to leave that, sit that for 5 minutes, and if it doesn't leak, if there's no water coming out, we should be good to go.
5 minutes later.
We're good to go. All right. Unfortunately, my job is not that easy. If everything else was okay, I could just go and put that on the bike. Unfortunately, I didn't show this in my last few videos, but I actually tore the base gasket on the cylinder. So that has to come off. I'm going to cut a new gasket. It's 25 cents for a new gasket from Honda, but I need some practice. So I bought some gasket paper, the right thickness. I'm going to make my own gasket to put under the base plate, or the cylinder. Because the second time that I cranked the engine over, it was idling low, and that was in fact low compression. Because I just put some silicone grease in there, and I did not wait for it to set. I want to do this properly. I'm exhausted by how much I've done taking this bike apart, but there is light at the end of the tunnel. I'm so close, and I just need to make sure that I do everything properly. as far as I'm concerned, this is ready to go on the bike. And the sooner I get that gasket cut, the better. But it's also going to give me an opportunity to inspect that brand new Yamanashi piston, just to make sure that there's no damage on it, because it would be stupid of me to not do that job properly. So I guess I'm going to stop, pull the cylinder, do my gasket, and then hopefully get my bike running again.